The boardroom went silent when Vanessa Hale fired Noah Carter in front of everyone. No warnings, no second chances. Just one brutal sentence that ended a man's career because he showed up late. But 53 minutes later, when Vanessa's phone rang and her daughter's terrified voice came through the speaker, everything she thought she knew about that morning shattered into pieces she'd spend months trying to put back together. This is a story about the Morning One CEO. Learn that some rules matter less than the people who break them. Stay until the end, hit that like button, and drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this story travels. The rain started at 6:47 a.m., which meant Vanessa Hale's morning was already compromised. She hated rain. Not because of the weather itself, but because rain made people sloppy. Rain gave them excuses. Rain turned a 30-minute commute into 45 and 45 minutes into an hour, and suddenly her 7:30 operations meeting would start at 7:38 with half the chairs still empty and everyone mumbling apologies about traffic. Vanessa didn't accept apologies about traffic. She stood in front of her bedroom mirror, pulling her dark hair into the same tight bun she'd worn every workday for 6 years. 30 years old, CEO of Hale Meridian Capital for 14 months. The youngest person to ever run the firm her grandfather built in 1967. Some people called her driven. Most just called her terrifying. "Mom, my socks don't match." Vanessa glanced toward the doorway where her daughter stood, 8 years old and holding up 2 completely identical navy blue socks like they were evidence in a trial. "Chloe, they're the same color. But this one has a different texture, see?" Chloe rubbed the socks together like she was trying to start a fire. "Nobody's going to see your socks." "I'll see them." Vanessa closed her eyes and counted to 3. Her therapist said counting helped. Her therapist also said Vanessa needed to create space for emotional flexibility, which was the kind of phrase people used when they meant you were wound too tight but didn't want to say it directly. "Chloe, we leave in 4 minutes. Find socks that make you happy and meet me at the door." "But 3 minutes now." Chloe disappeared. Vanessa heard drawers slamming in the other room. She checked her reflection one more time. Charcoal suit, white blouse, silver watch her father gave her before he died. Everything sharp, everything precise, everything communicating the same message she'd been sending since she took over the company. "Don't waste my time, and I won't waste yours." Her phone buzzed. Marcus Chen, head of operations. Running 10 minutes late. Accident on Lakeshore Drive. Vanessa's jaw tightened. Marcus had been with the company for 9 years. He knew better than to send a text like that without a solution attached. She typed back. "Meeting starts at 7:30, not 7:40. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Marcus. "Understood. Good." She grabbed her bag and found Chloe by the front door wearing mismatched socks, one navy, one black, and looking proud of herself. "Compromise," Chloe announced. "That's not what compromise means. It means both sides get something they want. You wanted me ready fast. I wanted different socks. See? Compromise." Vanessa opened her mouth to explain why that logic was broken, then stopped. Her therapist's voice echoed in her head. "Pick your battles." "Fine. Let's go." They made it to Chloe's school by 7:18. Vanessa watched her daughter climb out of the car, backpack nearly as big as she was. "Love you, Mom." "Love you too. Stay with Mrs. Patterson until the bell rings." "I know. And if anyone you don't know tries to talk to you, say," I scream and run to a teacher. "Mom, you tell me this every day. Because it's important every day." Chloe rolled her eyes, but she was smiling. She slammed the car door and ran toward the entrance, her mismatched socks flashing beneath her uniform skirt. Vanessa waited until she saw Chloe reach Mrs. Patterson, the morning supervisor. Only then did she pull away from the curb. 7:21 a.m. She'd make it to the office by 7:35 if the lights cooperated. Not ideal, but acceptable. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered through the car speaker. "Vanessa Hale?" "Hi. Yes, this is Jennifer from Lakeside Dental confirming your 3 p.m. cleaning today." "I canceled that appointment." "Oh, I don't see a cancellation in our—" 2 weeks ago, I called and canceled." "Let me just check with—" "I don't have time for this. Remove me from your call list." She hung up. The rain was getting heavier. Vanessa turned the wipers to full speed and watched the city blur past her windows. Chicago looked gray and formless in weather like this. All the sharp edges softened into something she didn't recognize. She hated that too. By the time she pulled into the underground garage at Hale Meridian Capital headquarters, it was 7:38. Not ideal, not acceptable, but salvageable. She took the private elevator to the 14th floor and stepped into the glass-walled corridor that overlooked the trading floor below. Everything here was designed to communicate power and transparency. Her grandfather's idea. If people can see you working, they work harder themselves. Vanessa had always thought that was naive. People didn't work harder because they were being watched. They worked harder because they were afraid of being replaced. She walked into the executive conference room at exactly 7:42. 11 people sat around the long table. Marcus wasn't one of them. "Good morning," Vanessa said, setting her bag down at the head of the table. "Let's start." "Should we wait for Marcus?" someone asked. Vanessa didn't look up to see who. No. She opened her tablet and pulled up the operations report. Quarterly earnings exceeded projections by 8%, which sounds good until you realize we projected low. "I want to know why our models are consistently underestimating performance. Either our analysts are being too conservative, or they're not seeing something they should be seeing. Either way, it's a problem." The room was quiet. People were nodding, writing things down. Vanessa continued, "Facilities maintenance costs are up 17% year over year. That's unacceptable. I need a breakdown of every expense over $500 and a plan to cut costs by at least 10% before next quarter." "Vanessa, some of that increase is because of the HVAC system replacement," someone said. David Park, head of building operations. "Was the HVAC system failing?" "No, but then why did we replace it?" David shifted in his seat. "Preventive maintenance. The system was 12 years old, and preventive maintenance is a luxury. We fix things when they break, not before. With respect, that's not how—" "David!" Vanessa's voice didn't get louder. It didn't need to. "You're in charge of keeping costs down. If costs go up, that's your failure. Do you understand?" David's face went red, but he nodded. "Good. Next item." The door opened. Marcus Chen walked in, his suit jacket dark with rain, his hair plastered to his forehead. "Sorry," he said, slightly breathless. "There was an accident on—" "I got your text," Vanessa said without looking at him. "Sit down." Marcus sat. Vanessa kept talking. "Marketing metrics show engagement is flat despite a 12% increase in ad spending. That tells me we're spending money without strategy. I want a full audit of every campaign we're running and a recommendation for which ones to kill." She looked up. That's when she noticed the empty chair. Fourth seat from the left. Maintenance division. Noah Carter's seat. Vanessa frowned. "Where's Carter?" David glanced at the empty chair. "I don't know. He's usually here by now." "Usually isn't good enough. Does anyone know where he is?" Silence. Vanessa felt something cold settle in her chest. Noah Carter had been with the company for 2 years. Quiet guy. Single father. Worked building services, everything from fixing broken lights to coordinating with contractors. He wasn't important enough to be in these meetings, honestly, but her grandfather had insisted that facilities staff attend operations reviews. "They see things executives miss," he used to say. Vanessa had kept the tradition, mostly because changing it felt like admitting her grandfather was wrong. But Noah had never missed a meeting, not once. She checked her phone. No messages. No calls. "Try his cell," she told David. David pulled out his phone and dialed. They all waited. After 6 rings, it went to voicemail. "Not answering," David said. Vanessa's jaw tightened. "Anyone have an alternate contact for him?" "There's an emergency contact in his file," someone offered. "His daughter, I think. But she's 7, David said. "That's not going to help." 6, Marcus corrected quietly. "His daughter's 6. Emma." Everyone looked at him. "What?" "We talked once. He mentioned her." Vanessa set her tablet down. "So we have no way to reach him, no explanation for where he is, and he's just not here." "Maybe he's sick," someone suggested. "Then he should have called." "Maybe there was an emergency." "Then he definitely should have called." Vanessa stood up. She walked to the window and looked down at the trading floor below. People moving, working, following the rules she'd put in place because rules were the only thing that kept chaos from swallowing everything whole. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it. Another message from her assistant. Reminder, board meeting at 9. Right. The board. She had exactly 73 minutes to prepare, and she was wasting time wondering about an employee who couldn't be bothered to show up. We'll continue without him, Vanessa said, turning back to the table. David, I want a written explanation from Carter by end of day. If he doesn't provide one, the door opened again. Noah Carter walked in. He looked like he'd been hit by a truck. Mud streaked across his uniform pants. His jacket was torn at the shoulder. One side of his face was already starting to bruise, a dark purple blue spreading from his cheekbone to his jaw. He was breathing hard, like he'd been running. Everyone stared. Vanessa stared too, but only for a second. Then her brain clicked back into gear. You're 53 minutes late, she said. Noah stopped just inside the doorway. His eyes met hers. I know, he said. His voice was rough. I'm sorry. That's it? You're sorry? Yes. Vanessa waited for the explanation, the excuse, the justification that would make this okay. But Noah just stood there, breathing hard, mud on his boots and bruises on his face. Where were you? Vanessa asked. I got held up. Held up? Yes. That's your explanation. Noah nodded. Vanessa felt her chest go tight. She'd seen this before. People who thought the rules didn't apply to them. People who thought showing up was optional. People who took the stability she provided and threw it back in her face because they assumed she'd always give them another chance. She wouldn't. David, Vanessa said, not taking her eyes off Noah. What's our policy on unexcused absences? David cleared his throat. Written warning for the first offense, suspension for the second, termination for the third. And what counts as an unexcused absence? Failure to appear for a scheduled shift or meeting without prior notification and a valid reason. Does showing up 53 minutes late count as failure to appear? David hesitated. Technically, he's here now. Answer the question, David. Yes, David said quietly. It counts. Vanessa walked around the table, slowly. She stopped about 6 feet from Noah. Up close, he looked worse. There was a cut above his eyebrow. His knuckles were scraped raw. He smelled like rain and copper. Mr. Carter, Vanessa said, you've been with this company for 2 years. In that time, you've had a clean record. No complaints, no issues. Until today. Noah nodded. Yes, ma'am. Do you have a valid reason for being late? Silence. Vanessa could feel everyone watching. The room felt too small, too hot. I'm going to ask you one more time, she said. Do you have a valid reason for being late to this meeting? Noah looked at her, really looked at her. And for just a second, Vanessa saw something in his eyes that she couldn't name. Something tired. Something broken. Then it was gone. No, ma'am, Noah said, I don't. Vanessa felt the words land in her chest like stones. She could give him another chance. She knew that. Everyone in this room knew that. One warning, one slip. Nobody was perfect. But that was the problem, wasn't it? If she let Noah slide, then everyone else would expect the same treatment. And if everyone got special treatment, then the rules meant nothing. And if the rules meant nothing, then everything her grandfather built, everything she was trying to protect, would fall apart. She couldn't let that happen. Then you're fired, Vanessa said. The room went silent. Noah didn't move, didn't argue, didn't even look surprised. Effective immediately, Vanessa continued. David will coordinate your exit paperwork. You have until end of day to clear out your locker and return any company property. Vanessa, Marcus started. Meeting's over, Vanessa said. Everyone out except David. People stood, slowly. Nobody made eye contact with Noah as they filed past him toward the door. Noah stood there for another moment. Then he nodded once, not to Vanessa, but to himself, like he'd confirmed something he already knew. Understood, he said, and then he turned and walked out. The door closed behind him. Vanessa turned to David, who looked like he'd just witnessed a car accident. Get his paperwork started, she said. I want him off the premises by 5. Vanessa, maybe we should. 5 o'clock, David. David nodded and left. Vanessa stood alone in the conference room. The rain hammered against the windows. Somewhere 14 floors below, the city kept moving, kept working, kept following the rules that held everything together. She checked her phone. 8:37 a.m. 23 minutes until the board meeting. She grabbed her tablet and her bag and walked out of the conference room without looking back at the empty chair where Noah Carter used to sit. At 9 a.m., Vanessa sat in the mahogany-paneled boardroom on the 17th floor and presented quarterly earnings to 12 executives who'd been running companies since before she was born. She was perfect, clear, confident, every slide timed to the second, every question answered before it was fully asked. When she finished, the board chair, a 72-year-old man named Robert Finch, who'd worked with her grandfather for 40 years, nodded slowly. "Impressive work, Vanessa," he said. "Your grandfather would be proud." Vanessa smiled. "Thank you." But inside, she felt nothing. The meeting ended at 10:47. Vanessa shook hands with everyone, made small talk about market trends and interest rates, and then escaped to her office on the 15th floor. Her assistant, Jennifer, was waiting with a stack of contracts that needed signatures. "Also," Jennifer said, "you got a call from Chloe's school about 20 minutes ago. They said it wasn't urgent, but asked if you could call them back when you have a chance." Vanessa frowned. "Did they say what it was about?" "No, just asked you to call. Probably something about the fall fundraiser, or another permission slip Vanessa forgot to sign. She'd call them during lunch." She spent the next hour reviewing contracts, signing documents, responding to emails that had piled up during the board meeting. At 11:34, her phone rang. Unknown number again. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Vanessa Hale. "Mommy?" Vanessa's entire body went cold. "Chloe? Baby, what's wrong?" "A man." Chloe's voice was shaking. "A man tried to grab me." Vanessa was on her feet before she realized she'd moved. "What? When? Where are you?" "This morning, before school. But I'm okay. I'm okay now." "Where are you?" "In the principal's office. Mrs. Patterson is here." "Put her on the phone. Right now." There was shuffling. Then an older woman's voice came through the line. "Ms. Hale, this is Dorothy Patterson. I'm so sorry we didn't call sooner. What happened to my daughter?" "There was an incident this morning near the school entrance. A man approached Chloe in the alley next to the building. He tried to grab her, but someone intervened before. Is she hurt?" No, she's completely fine. Shaken up, but fine. The man who helped her stayed with her until we could get her inside safely." Vanessa's hand was shaking so hard she could barely hold the phone. "I'm coming to get her right now." "Of course. But Ms. Hale, there's something else you should know." "What?" "The man who saved her. He was injured during the altercation. We called an ambulance, but he refused treatment. He said he had to get to work. He left before we could even get his full name." Vanessa's chest felt tight. What did he look like? 30s, maybe? Dark hair? Wearing some kind of work uniform? He had a jacket on, but I think there was a company logo. What company? I didn't see it clearly, but he was very kind to Chloe. Very calm. He told her she was safe and that everything would be okay. Vanessa closed her eyes. No. What name did he give you? She asked. He said his name was Noah. The phone slipped from Vanessa's hand. She stood in her office, staring at nothing, while the world tilted sideways and her brain tried to catch up with what she was hearing. Noah Carter. The man she fired an hour ago had saved her daughter's life this morning. The bruises on his face, the torn jacket, the mud on his boots. He wasn't late because he didn't care. He was late because he'd been protecting Chloe, and she'd fired him. Vanessa grabbed her phone off the floor and ran. She made it to Chloe's school in 14 minutes. Probably broke 6 traffic laws getting there. Didn't care. Chloe was sitting in the principal's office, wrapped in a blanket even though it wasn't cold. When she saw Vanessa, she started crying. Vanessa pulled her into the tightest hug she'd ever given. "I'm okay," Chloe kept saying. "I'm okay, Mom." But Vanessa couldn't let go. Mrs. Patterson gave her the full story. Chloe had arrived at school early. Vanessa's fault for dropping her off before the building was officially open. She'd been waiting in the covered area near the entrance when a man approached her. Mid-40s, wearing a dirty jacket, smelled like alcohol. He'd grabbed Chloe's arm and tried to pull her toward the alley. That's when Noah appeared. He'd been walking past on his way to work, saw what was happening, ran into the alley, and physically pulled the man off Chloe. There'd been a fight, short but violent. The man had punched Noah in the face, cracked him in the ribs. Noah fought back, kept himself between the attacker and Chloe the entire time. Eventually, the man ran. Noah stayed. He'd knelt down next to Chloe, told her she was safe, asked her if she was hurt. When she said she was okay, he'd walked her to the entrance and waited with her until Mrs. Patterson arrived. Then he'd left, didn't ask for thanks, didn't wait for praise, just left. Did he say where he was going? Vanessa asked. He said he was late for work, Mrs. Patterson said. He seemed very worried about it. Vanessa felt sick. He'd saved her daughter's life and then rushed to the office, bruised and bleeding, because he was worried about being late, and she'd fired him. Ms. Hale, are you all right? Vanessa realized she was crying. I need to make a phone call, she said. She called David from the car. I need Noah Carter's home address, she said. I can't really give out employee information. He's not an employee anymore. I fired him, remember? Silence. Vanessa, what's going on? Just send me his address, please. 5 minutes later, her phone buzzed with a text. 742 West Elm Street, apartment 3B. Vanessa dropped Chloe at home with the nanny and drove across the city. Noah's apartment building was old. Brick. 4 stories. The kind of place that had probably been nice in the 1960s and hadn't been updated since. Vanessa climbed the stairs to the 3rd floor and knocked on 3B. No answer. She knocked again. Still nothing. She tried calling his cell. Straight to voicemail. Then she remembered. The paramedics. Mrs. Patterson said they'd offered treatment. Vanessa pulled out her phone and started calling urgent care clinics. The 3rd one she tried said yes. A Noah Carter had been treated there about an hour ago. Vanessa drove 15 minutes to a small clinic on the south side. She found him in a room at the back, sitting on an exam table. No shirt. Bandages wrapped around his ribs. A nurse was cleaning the cut above his eyebrow. He looked up when Vanessa walked in. For a long moment, neither of them said anything. Then Vanessa said, "You saved my daughter." Noah didn't answer. The nurse glanced between them. "I'll give you 2 a minute," she said, and slipped out. Vanessa stepped closer. "The man who attacked her this morning, that was you. You stopped him." "Yes." "And then you came to work." "Yes." "Why didn't you tell me?" Noah looked at her like the answer should be obvious. "You didn't ask." Vanessa felt the words hit her like a slap. "You're right," she said quietly. "I didn't." She sat down in the chair next to the exam table. Her hands were shaking again. "I fired you," she said. "I know. I fired you because I thought you didn't care. I thought you were just another person who couldn't be bothered to show up on time." Noah was quiet. "And the whole time," Vanessa continued, "you were—" Her voice broke. "You were saving my daughter's life." "I didn't know she was your daughter," Noah said. "I just saw a kid in trouble." "That makes it worse." "Why?" "Because you didn't do it for me. You didn't do it because you thought it would get you something. You did it because it was the right thing to do. And I couldn't even see that." Vanessa put her face in her hands. She'd spent her entire career believing that rules mattered more than people, that discipline was the same thing as strength, that excuses destroyed excellence. But Noah hadn't given her an excuse. He'd given her silence. And she'd been too busy protecting her rules to see what that silence was hiding. "I'm sorry," she said. "I'm so sorry." Noah didn't respond right away. When he did, his voice was quiet but steady. "You didn't know," he said, "but maybe you should have asked before deciding." Vanessa looked up at him. He wasn't angry. He wasn't bitter. He just looked tired. "I want to give you your job back," Vanessa said. "No." She blinked. "What?" "I don't want my job back." "But you fired me because I didn't fit into your system," Noah said. "And maybe you're right. Maybe I don't. I've got a daughter who needs me. I've got a life outside that office. And if showing up 53 minutes late because I stopped to help a kid in trouble is enough to get me fired, then maybe I don't belong there anyway. Vanessa stared at him. He was right. Everything he was saying was right, and it made her feel like the floor was dropping out from under her. Then let me offer you something different, she said. Noah raised an eyebrow. We need a head of safety operations, Vanessa said. Someone to oversee building security, emergency protocols, staff training. It's a leadership position, better pay, flexible hours. You'd be home with your daughter every evening. Why would you offer me that? Because you're exactly the kind of person we need. Someone who doesn't just follow rules. Someone who does the right thing even when it costs them something. Noah looked at her for a long time. I'll think about it, he said. Fair enough. Vanessa stood. She walked to the door, then stopped. My daughter's name is Chloe, she said. She's 8, and she wanted me to tell you thank you. Noah smiled, just a little. Tell her she's welcome. Vanessa left the clinic and sat in her car for 20 minutes, staring at nothing, while the rain started up again and the city blurred behind her windshield. She'd spent 6 years building walls. Walls around her heart, walls around her company, walls between herself and everyone who might distract her from the mission of keeping everything her grandfather built from falling apart. But today, those walls had almost cost her everything. And the man who'd saved her, saved Chloe, was the same man she'd thrown away without a second thought. Vanessa drove home. When she walked in, Chloe was sitting on the couch, still wrapped in that blanket. Is he okay? Chloe asked. The man who helped me? He's okay, Vanessa said. His name is Noah. Does he have kids? A daughter. Her name is Emma. Chloe thought about that. She must be really nice, she said, because her dad is nice. Vanessa sat down next to her daughter and pulled her close. Yeah, she said quietly. I think you're right. Outside, the rain kept falling, but inside, for the first time in longer than Vanessa could remember, something felt different. Something felt like it might be starting to crack open. And maybe, just maybe, that wasn't a bad thing. Noah called her back 3 days later. Vanessa was in the middle of a budget review when her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, saw the unfamiliar number, and almost sent it to voicemail. Then something made her answer. Vanessa Hale. It's Noah Carter. She sat up straighter. Around the conference table, 4 executives paused mid-sentence and looked at her. Give me a minute, Vanessa said to the room. She stood and walked out into the hallway, pressing the phone tight against her ear. Noah. Hi. I've been thinking about your offer. And? I'll take it. On one condition. Vanessa's pulse quickened. What's that? I need to be home by 6 every night. No exceptions. Emma gets out of aftercare at 6:15, and I'm not leaving her waiting. Done. And I'm not wearing a suit. Vanessa almost smiled. Noted. When do you want me to start? Monday? There was a pause. Then, okay, Monday. Noah? Yeah. Vanessa wasn't sure what she wanted to say. Thank you felt inadequate. I'm sorry felt like it was 3 days too late. So she just said, I'll have Jennifer send you the details. Sounds good. He hung up. Vanessa stood in the hallway for a moment, staring at her phone. Behind her, the conference room door opened and Marcus stuck his head out. Everything okay? Yeah, Vanessa said. Everything's fine. She walked back into the meeting and tried to focus on variance reports and operational projections, but her mind kept drifting to Monday, to Noah, to the fact that she'd just hired someone she'd fired less than a week ago, and she had no idea if this was going to work or if she'd just made everything worse. That night, over dinner, Chloe asked about him again. Is Noah coming back to work for you? Vanessa looked up from her plate. They were sitting at the kitchen table, just the two of them, like every weeknight, takeout Thai food. Chloe's homework spread across one end of the table. He is, Vanessa said. He starts Monday. Can I meet him? Why? Because I want to say thank you. Vanessa set down her fork. Baby, I told him you said thank you. He knows. But I want to tell him myself. Chloe's face was serious. He got hurt because of me. I should at least say it to his face. Vanessa thought about that. Thought about the barriers she'd spent years building between her work life and her home life. Thought about how mixing the two had always felt dangerous, like letting people see too much. But then she thought about Noah sitting in that clinic, bruised and bandaged, telling her she should have asked before deciding. Maybe some barriers needed to come down. "I'll see what I can arrange," Vanessa said. Chloe grinned. "Can I meet Emma too?" "I don't know if—" "Please? You said she's my age. I bet we'd be friends." "Chloe, it's not that simple." "Why not?" "Because Noah was her employee. Because mixing personal and professional was a recipe for disaster. Because Vanessa had already crossed enough lines this week and didn't need to add playdates to the list. But she didn't say any of that." "I'll think about it," she said instead. Chloe seemed satisfied with that answer. She went back to her math homework, and Vanessa went back to her pad thai, and neither of them said anything else about it. But later that night, after Chloe was asleep, Vanessa sat in her home office and pulled up Noah's personnel file. She'd read it before, of course, back when he was just another name on an org chart. But she'd been looking for different things then: red flags, performance issues, reasons to cut costs. Now she was looking for who he actually was. The file was thin: 2 years of employment, clean attendance record, up until last week. No complaints, no disciplinary actions. His emergency contact was listed as Emma Carter, which made Vanessa's chest hurt because what 6-year-old kid should be someone's emergency contact? There was a note in the system from David Park, written about 8 months ago. Noah stayed late 3 nights in a row to help with the boiler replacement. Didn't ask for overtime, just wanted to make sure it was done right. Another note from facilities. Fixed the 3rd floor elevator on a Saturday. Building was closed. He came in on his own time because he knew people needed it Monday morning. Vanessa sat back in her chair. She'd fired a man who fixed elevators on weekends because he didn't want people to be inconvenienced. She closed the file and rubbed her eyes. Her therapist had told her once that she needed to stop seeing people as variables in an equation, that human beings were messy and complicated and couldn't be optimized like profit margins. Vanessa had nodded and agreed and then gone right back to running her company like a machine because that was the only way she knew how to keep it from falling apart. But machines didn't save little girls in alleys. People did. She turned off her computer and went to bed, but she didn't sleep much. Monday morning came too fast. Vanessa arrived at the office at 7:30 and found Noah already waiting in the lobby. He was wearing dark pants and a gray quarter zip with the company logo on the chest. No suit, like he'd promised. "You're early," Vanessa said. "Habit." They rode the elevator up to the 14th floor in silence. Vanessa kept glancing at him out of the corner of her eye. The bruises on his face had faded to a yellowish green. The cut above his eyebrow was healing. "How are the ribs?" she asked. "Better. Still sore. If you need time to, I'm fine." The elevator doors opened. Vanessa led him down the hall to a corner office that had been empty for 3 months. It was smaller than hers, but still had windows. Still had a view. "This is you," she said. Noah looked around. Desk, chair, bookshelf. Everything standard issue and impersonal. "I'll have it set up your computer this morning," Vanessa continued. "Jennifer will walk you through the operational protocols, and I'd like you to sit in on the safety audit meeting at 2. Does that work?" "Sure?" Vanessa hesitated. She had a speech prepared, something about expectations and responsibilities, and how this was a fresh start for both of them. But standing there in the empty office, the words felt hollow. "Noah," she said, "I want you to know that Oh, Vanessa." He turned to face her. "We don't have to keep doing this." "Doing what?" "The apology tour. You said you were sorry. I accepted the job. We're good. But You made a call based on the information you had. It was the wrong call, but you didn't know that. Now you do. So let's just move forward." Vanessa stared at him. She wanted to argue, wanted to explain that it wasn't that simple, that she'd let her need for control turn her into someone who couldn't see past her own rules. But Noah was already unpacking a bag he'd brought with him, setting a framed photo on the desk. A little girl with dark curls and a gap-toothed smile. "That's Emma," he said, noticing Vanessa's gaze. "She looks happy." "She is, most of the time." Noah adjusted the frame. "Her mom died when she was 2, cancer, so it's just been the 2 of us for a while now." "I'm sorry. Everyone says that. Like it's their fault." Noah sat down in the desk chair and tested the height adjustment. Sarah was sick for a long time before she died. We knew it was coming. Doesn't make it easier, but at least we got to say goodbye. Vanessa didn't know what to say to that. Her own father had died suddenly. Heart attack at 54. No warning. No goodbye. One day he was there, and the next day he wasn't. And Vanessa had spent the last 6 years trying to prove she could run his company better than he ever did. Maybe that was the same as saying goodbye. Maybe it wasn't. "My daughter wants to meet you," Vanessa said. "Chloe. She wants to say thank you in person." Noah looked up. "You don't have to do that." "I know, but she asked. And I thought maybe—" Vanessa stopped. She also asked if she could meet Emma. "Really? She thinks they'd be friends." Noah smiled, just a little. "Emma could use more friends. So could Chloe." They looked at each other for a moment. Then Noah said, "There's a park near my apartment, Oak Street Park. Emma and I go there on Saturdays. If you and Chloe wanted to stop by this weekend, we'll probably be there around 10. "Okay," Vanessa said. "We'll be there." She left him to settle in and spent the rest of the day in back-to-back meetings that she barely paid attention to. By the time 6 o'clock rolled around, she was exhausted. She was packing up her bag when someone knocked on her office door. Noah stood in the doorway, car keys in his hand. "I'm heading out," he said. Vanessa glanced at her computer. 6:02 p.m. "How was day one?" "Long, but good." He paused. "The safety audit meeting was useful. I've got some ideas about the evacuation protocols." "I'd like to hear them." "Tomorrow?" "Tomorrow." Noah nodded and turned to leave. Then he stopped. "Vanessa?" "Yeah?" "Thank you for the second chance." Before she could respond, he was gone. Vanessa sat there for a long time after he left, staring at the empty doorway and wondering when exactly her life had become so complicated. Saturday morning arrived cold and clear. October in Chicago, the kind of weather where you needed a jacket in the morning but not by noon. Vanessa pulled into the parking lot at Oak Street Park a few minutes after 10. Chloe was practically vibrating in the passenger seat. "Do you see them?" Chloe asked, unbuckling her seatbelt before the car had fully stopped. "Hold on, let me park first." "But what if they leave?" "They're not going to leave." Vanessa found a spot and killed the engine. Through the windshield, she could see the playground. A dozen kids running around, parents scattered on benches with coffee cups. And there, near the swings, was Noah. He was pushing a little girl, Emma, had to be, who was laughing so hard Vanessa could almost hear it from the car. "That's her," Chloe said. "That's Emma, right?" "I think so. She looks nice." "You can't tell if someone's nice just by looking at them, Chloe." "Yes, you can. She has a nice face." Vanessa didn't argue. They got out of the car and walked across the grass toward the playground. Noah saw them coming. He said something to Emma, and she jumped off the swing mid-arc, landed hard, stumbled, then ran straight toward Chloe. "Hi," Emma said, slightly breathless. "Are you Chloe?" Chloe nodded. "My dad said you were coming. Do you want to see the slide? It's really tall. I can go down backwards." "Cool," Chloe said. And just like that, they were gone, running toward the slide like they'd known each other forever. Vanessa stood there, slightly stunned. Noah walked over, hands in his jacket pockets. "That was fast. I thought there'd be more, I don't know, introductions." "Kids don't need introductions. They just decide if they like each other and move on." They watched the girls climb the ladder to the top of the slide. Emma went first, backwards like she'd promised. Chloe followed, right side up, but screaming the whole way down. "She's going to give me a heart attack," Vanessa muttered. Noah laughed. "Welcome to parenting." They walked over to an empty bench and sat down. The morning sun was warm on Vanessa's face. Around them, the park hummed with weekend energy. Dogs barking, kids shouting, someone's Bluetooth speaker playing music too loud. "How's the job going?" Vanessa asked. "Really? It's good. Different from what I'm used to, but good." "Different how?" Noah thought about it. "I spent the last 2 years fixing things. Boilers, elevators, broken lights. It was simple. Something's wrong. You figure out how to make it right. But this job is more about preventing things from going wrong in the first place." "Is that harder?" "Yeah, because you can't always see what's coming." Vanessa knew exactly what he meant. She'd spent her entire career trying to predict and prevent failure. Build systems so airtight that nothing could go wrong. But life didn't work that way. Things went wrong anyway. Like men grabbing little girls in alleys, like CEOs firing the wrong person for the wrong reasons. I saw your evacuation protocol proposal, Vanessa said. It's good. You think the board will go for it? I don't care if the board goes for it. I'm implementing it anyway. Noah smiled. That's very CEO of you. I have my moments. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. On the playground, Emma and Chloe had formed an alliance with two other kids and were staging some kind of elaborate game that involved a lot of running and even more screaming. She seems happy, Vanessa said, nodding toward Emma. She is. Took a while after Sarah died, but yeah, she's doing okay now. What was Sarah like? Noah looked surprised by the question. You really want to know? I wouldn't have asked if I didn't. He leaned back against the bench. She was a teacher, 3rd grade. She loved her job more than anything except Emma. She used to bring home art projects her students made and put them on our fridge. We had about 200 drawings of turkeys up there by the time she died. Vanessa smiled. She was funny, Noah continued. Like, genuinely funny. She could make anyone laugh. And she was kind. Not the weak kind of kind, the strong kind. The kind where you help people because it's the right thing to do, not because you expect anything back. Sounds like someone I know, Vanessa said quietly. Noah glanced at her. Yeah, well, I learned from the best. They fell quiet again. Vanessa watched Chloe chase Emma around the jungle gym, both of them shrieking with laughter, and felt something unfamiliar settle in her chest. Contentment, maybe. Or just the absence of the constant anxiety that usually lived there. Can I ask you something? Noah said. Sure. Why did you really offer me this job? Vanessa had been expecting this question. She'd prepared an answer. Something about his experience and his skill set and how the company needed someone with his background. But sitting there in the October sunlight with their daughters playing 20 feet away, the prepared answer felt like a lie. Because I needed to make it right, she said. Not just the firing, the whole thing. The way I've been running that company like people are just pieces on a board. The way I stopped seeing them as human beings and started seeing them as problems to solve or assets to optimize. And you think hiring me fixes that? No, but it's a start. Noah nodded slowly. What about your grandfather? What would he think about all this? He'd probably tell me I'm overthinking it. Are you? Probably. A soccer ball rolled past their bench. A kid came running after it, grabbed it, and disappeared back into the crowd. My grandfather built Hale Meridian from nothing, Vanessa said. He was brilliant, ruthless when he needed to be. But he was also... She paused, trying to find the right word. Human. He knew everyone's name, remembered their kids' birthdays, made time for people even when he didn't have time. And I thought I could do it differently. I thought I could be just as successful without all the messy emotional stuff. Turns out I was wrong. You're being pretty hard on yourself. Am I? Vanessa looked at him. I fired you for being late when you were literally saving my daughter's life. That's not being hard on myself. That's just facts. You didn't know. I should have asked. Yeah, Noah said. You should have. The bluntness of it surprised her, but it also felt honest in a way that most conversations in her life didn't. I'm trying to be better, Vanessa said. I know, I can see it. Can you? You're here, aren't you? At a park on a Saturday morning. That doesn't seem like something the person who fired me would do. Vanessa thought about that. He was right. 2 weeks ago, she would have been at the office, working through the weekend, answering emails, building more walls between herself and anything that might make her vulnerable. But here she was, at a park, watching her daughter play. Emma talks about you sometimes, Noah said suddenly. What? She heard me on the phone with you earlier this week, asked who you were. I told her you were my boss, and she got this look on her face like she was trying to solve a puzzle. What kind of look? The kind that means she's planning something. Vanessa laughed. Should I be worried? Probably. On the playground, Emma was showing Chloe how to hang upside down from the monkey bars. Both girls were dangling by their knees, their faces red from being inverted. I should probably stop them before someone cracks their head open, Noah said, standing up. Good idea. He walked over to the playground and said something that made both girls flip right side up, laughing. Then all three of them, Noah, Emma and Chloe climbed onto the jungle gym and started some new game that seemed to involve a lot of jumping. Vanessa sat on the bench and watched, and for the first time in longer than she could remember, she wasn't thinking about quarterly earnings or board meetings or operational efficiency. She was just thinking about how nice it was to sit in the sun and watch people be happy. They stayed at the park for another hour. When it was time to leave, Emma and Chloe hugged like they were being separated forever, instead of just until next weekend. "Can we come back next Saturday?" Chloe asked as they walked to the car. "If Noah and Emma want to." "They will. Emma already asked me." Vanessa glanced back. Noah was buckling Emma into a beat-up Honda that had seen better days. He caught her looking and raised a hand in a wave. She waved back. On the drive home, Chloe talked nonstop about Emma, about how Emma could do a cartwheel, about how Emma's favorite color was purple, about how Emma's mom was in heaven, but Emma said it was okay because her dad was the best dad in the world. Vanessa listened to all of it and felt her throat go tight. "Mom," Chloe said suddenly. "Yeah, baby?" "Do you think Noah is lonely?" The question caught Vanessa off guard. "Why would you ask that?" "Because Emma said it's just the two of them. Like it's just you and me." Vanessa didn't know how to answer that. She'd never thought of herself as lonely. Busy? Yes. Stressed? Definitely. But lonely? Maybe. "I don't know," she said finally. "Why don't you ask him next time?" "I can't ask him that. That's rude." "Since when do you care about being rude?" Chloe giggled. "Since always." They pulled into their driveway. Vanessa turned off the car, but didn't get out right away. "Chloe?" "Yeah? Do you think I'm lonely?" Chloe looked at her seriously. "Sometimes, but maybe less now." "Why less now?" "Because you're smiling more." Vanessa reached over and squeezed her daughter's hand. "Come on, let's go inside." That night, after Chloe was asleep, Vanessa sat in her home office and tried to work. She had a presentation to prepare for Monday, budget forecast to review, 100 emails that needed responses. But she kept thinking about the park, about Noah pushing Emma on the swings, about Chloe hanging upside down from the monkey bars, about how easy it had been to just sit there and exist without constantly calculating the next move. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Unknown. "Emma wanted me to tell you that Chloe is her new best friend. Fair warning, she's already planning their wedding." Vanessa smiled and saved the number as Noah's contact. Vanessa. Chloe said the same thing, minus the wedding part. Noah. Give it time. Vanessa. Thanks for today. She had fun. Noah. So did Emma. Same time next week? Vanessa. Definitely. She set the phone down and stared at the exchange for longer than was probably normal. Then she closed her laptop, turned off the lights, and went to bed. The budget forecast could wait. The Saturdays became a routine. Not the rigid, scheduled kind of routine that Vanessa had built her entire life around, but something looser, more organic, the kind of thing that just happened because both of them kept showing up. By the third week, they didn't even bother texting to confirm. They just met at the park at 10, let the girls run wild, and talked about nothing important while sitting on that same bench. Except the conversations were starting to feel important. "Emma asked me if you were my girlfriend," Noah said one Saturday in early November. Vanessa had been watching Chloe try to teach Emma how to do a handstand. She turned to look at him. "What did you tell her?" "That you're my boss." "And what did she say?" "She said bosses don't come to parks." Noah smiled. Then she asked if that meant we were friends. "What did you say to that?" "I said I didn't know." "Are we?" Vanessa thought about it. Friends felt like too small a word for whatever this was. They'd crossed too many boundaries, shared too many pieces of themselves, but she didn't have a better word for it. "Yeah," she said, "I think we are." "Good. Because Emma really likes Chloe and I didn't want to have to tell her we couldn't come anymore." "You wouldn't have to tell her that." "No?" "No. Even if we weren't friends, the girls are. That's separate." Noah looked at her. "Is it?" Before Vanessa could answer, Chloe came running over, grass stains on her knees and leaves in her hair. "Mom, can Emma come over to our house next week? Please? We want to build a fort." Vanessa hesitated. Having Noah at the park was one thing. Having him and Emma in her home felt like a different level of exposure. We'll see, she said. That means no, Chloe said. It means we'll see. But Emma's dad said it was okay if you said yes. Vanessa looked at Noah. Did he now? Noah held up his hands. I said I'd have to check with you first. Emma's memory is selective. Please, Mom, we'll be good. We'll stay in my room. You won't even know we're there. That was definitely a lie, but Vanessa found herself nodding anyway. Okay, next Saturday, but you have to clean your room first. Chloe squealed and ran back to tell Emma. You didn't have to say yes, Noah said. I know, but she's right. It's time. Time for what? Vanessa wasn't sure how to explain it. Time to stop keeping everything in separate boxes. Time to let her worlds collide. Time to see what happened when she stopped controlling every variable. Just time, she said. The following Saturday, Noah and Emma showed up at Vanessa's house at 10:30 with a bag full of blankets and what looked like every pillow Emma owned. For the fort, Emma explained, dragging the bag through the front door. Chloe grabbed the other end and the two of them disappeared upstairs, leaving Vanessa and Noah standing in the entryway. Your house is nice, Noah said, looking around. It's too big for two people. How long have you lived here? 4 years? I bought it right after my father died. Thought I needed the space. Vanessa closed the door. Turns out I just needed something to do with the insurance money. Noah followed her into the kitchen. It was one of those open concept spaces that looked like it belonged in a magazine. Marble countertops, stainless steel appliances, everything clean and untouched because Vanessa barely cooked. Coffee? She offered. Sure. She made 2 cups while Noah sat at the kitchen island. Upstairs, the girls were already arguing about fort architecture. Should we check on them? Noah asked. Give them 5 minutes. They'll figure it out. She handed him a mug and sat down across from him. The kitchen suddenly felt very quiet, very intimate. At the park, there were always distractions. Other people, background noise. But here it was just the two of them and the hum of the refrigerator. Can I ask you something? Noah said. You've been asking me things for weeks. Why stop now? When you fired me, were you scared? The question caught her off guard. Scared of what? That you'd made the wrong call, even before you knew about Chloe. Did any part of you think maybe you were being too harsh? Vanessa wrapped her hands around her coffee mug. The ceramic was warm against her palms. No, she said honestly. I wasn't scared. I was sure. That's worse, isn't it? I don't know. Is it? I've spent my whole life being sure about things. My father used to say that doubt was just fear wearing a mask, so I learned not to doubt. I learned to make decisions and stick with them no matter what. Even when you're wrong? Especially when I'm wrong, because admitting you're wrong means admitting you don't have control. And if I don't have control, she stopped. I don't know how to finish that sentence. Then everything falls apart? Maybe. Noah took a sip of his coffee. You know what Emma asked me last week? What? She asked if her mom would be proud of me, for raising her alone, for doing my best. He set the mug down. I told her I didn't know, because honestly, I don't. Sarah was the one who had everything figured out. I'm just making it up as I go. You're doing a good job. Am I? Half the time I feel like I'm drowning. Emma needs things I don't know how to give her. Stability, routine, a mother. She has you, that's enough. Is it? Upstairs, something crashed. Both of them looked at the ceiling. Should we? Vanessa started. We're okay. Chloe's voice carried down the stairs. The fort just fell. We're rebuilding, Emma added. Noah smiled. See, they've got it figured out. They sat there for a while, drinking coffee and listening to the sounds of construction overhead. It was comfortable in a way that Vanessa wasn't used to. She'd spent so many years making sure every silence was filled with productivity, with purpose. But this silence didn't need to be filled with anything. I have a confession, Vanessa said. Yeah? I looked into your background before I hired you for the safety position. That's not a confession. That's just good HR practice. No, I mean, really looked into it. I found articles about your time in the Army, about the medal you got. Noah's expression changed. Not angry, but closed off. That was a long time ago. Silver Star for Valor. That's not nothing. It's also not something I talk about. Why not? Because it doesn't matter anymore. That was a different version of me, different life. Vanessa wanted to push, wanted to know more, but she recognized the wall going up and decided to respect it. Okay, she said. But for what it's worth, I think it does matter. I think everything you've been shapes who you are now. Is that why you're so hard on yourself? Because of who you used to be? Maybe. Or maybe I'm hard on myself because I keep making the same mistakes over and over and expecting different results. That's the definition of insanity. Yeah, well, my therapist would agree with you. Noah raised an eyebrow. You have a therapist? Don't sound so surprised. I'm not. I just didn't peg you for the therapy type. What type is that? The type who admits they need help. Vanessa laughed. It came out bitter. I started going after my father died. Court-ordered, actually. Part of the custody agreement with Chloe's dad. You were married? For 3 years. Biggest mistake of my life. She drained the rest of her coffee. He was a lawyer, very charming, very good at making me think I needed him. Then my father died and I took over the company and suddenly I was too busy, too cold, too focused on work. His words, not mine. What happened? He filed for divorce and tried to get full custody of Chloe. Said I was an unfit mother. Said I cared more about the company than my own daughter. Vanessa's voice went flat. The judge disagreed, but part of the settlement was that I had to do 6 months of therapy to prove I was psychologically stable. That's harsh. It was also true. I was a mess, still am, probably, but at least now I'm a mess with coping mechanisms. Upstairs, the girls had started singing something off-key and very loud. They sound happy, Noah said. They do. You know what I can't figure out? What? How someone as put together as you ended up with someone who tried to take your kid away. Vanessa looked at him. You think I'm put together? From the outside, yeah. The outside is a carefully constructed lie. So what's the inside? She thought about that, really thought about it. Scared, tired, trying really hard not to screw up my daughter's life the way I've screwed up everything else. You haven't screwed up everything. Haven't I? I fired you for saving Chloe's life. I run my company like a dictator. I can't maintain a relationship that lasts longer than 3 years. I'm 30 years old and I feel like I'm 60. Noah stood up and walked around the island. For a second, Vanessa thought he was going to leave. Going to grab Emma and get out of this house because who wanted to be around someone who dumped their entire emotional baggage on them over coffee? But instead, he sat down on the stool next to her. You want to know what I see when I look at you? He said. Probably not. I see someone who's trying, someone who recognized they made a mistake and actually did something about it. Do you know how rare that is? Most people just double down, insist they were right all along. But you didn't. You tracked me down. You apologized. You offered me a better job than the one you took away. That's not someone who screwed everything up. That's someone who's learning. Vanessa felt her throat go tight. You're being too nice. I'm being honest. Same thing sometimes. They sat there, close enough that Vanessa could smell his soap. Something clean and simple. Not the expensive cologne her ex-husband used to wear. Just soap. I should check on the girls, she said, not moving. Probably. Neither of them moved. Then Emma's voice cut through the moment. Dad, Chloe's mom, come see what we built. Vanessa stood up fast enough that she almost knocked over her coffee mug. Noah caught it before it tipped. Crisis averted, he said. Story of my life. They went upstairs and found that the girls had constructed an elaborate fort using every piece of furniture in Chloe's room. Blankets draped over the bed and desk, pillows forming walls, string lights somehow involved. It's a castle, Emma announced, and we're princesses. What kind of princesses? Noah asked. The kind who rescue themselves, Chloe said. Vanessa felt something crack open in her chest. Where'd you learn that? You. You said once that I didn't need anyone to save me, that I could save myself. I did say that, didn't I? Yeah, and you were right. Noah glanced at Vanessa. Something passed between them. Understanding, maybe, or recognition. Can we have lunch in the fort? Emma asked. What do princesses eat? Vanessa asked. Pizza! Both girls shouted. So Vanessa ordered pizza, and they ate it sitting on Chloe's bedroom floor while the girls narrated an elaborate story about their castle being under siege by dragons, who turned out to just be misunderstood. The dragons just wanted friends, Emma explained through a mouthful of pepperoni. So the princesses invited them to tea, Chloe continued, and everyone lived happily ever after. Sounds like a good ending, Noah said. It's the only ending, Emma said seriously, because fighting is boring. Being friends is better. After lunch, the girls went back to playing in the fort, and Vanessa and Noah migrated to the living room. She's wise for 6, Vanessa said, settling onto the couch. She gets it from her mom. Sarah always said that most problems could be solved if people just talked to each other instead of assuming the worst. Sounds like someone I should have met. You would have liked her. She would have liked you too. She had a thing for intense people. Vanessa smiled. Is that what I am? Intense? Among other things. What other things? Noah looked at her. Are you fishing for compliments? Maybe. You're smart, driven, a little scary, good at pretending you don't care when you actually care too much. How am I doing? Scary? In a good way. There's a good way to be scary. Sure. It means people take you seriously. Vanessa thought about that. She'd spent so long using fear as a tool, making sure people were too intimidated to question her, too nervous to push back. But sitting here with Noah, she didn't feel scary. She just felt tired. Can I tell you something I've never told anyone? She said. Sure. Sometimes I think about selling the company, just walking away from all of it. Noah didn't look shocked. Why don't you? Because it's my family's legacy. Because my grandfather spent 40 years building it. Because my father died believing I was the only one who could keep it going. That's a lot of because. None of them are about what you want. What I want doesn't matter. Why not? Vanessa didn't have an answer for that. Or maybe she did and just didn't want to say it out loud. That she'd spent so long being what other people needed her to be that she'd forgotten how to want anything for herself. I don't know what I want, she said finally. Isn't that pathetic? I'm 30 years old and I have no idea what I actually want out of life. Join the club. I'm 32 and I'm still figuring it out. But you have Emma. You have a purpose. Emma's not my purpose. She's my daughter. That's different. How? Because a purpose is something you choose. Emma's someone I love. I didn't choose to be a single father. It just happened. And yeah, I'm doing my best, but that doesn't mean I have it all figured out. From upstairs came the sound of more giggling. The fort was apparently still under construction. Do you ever regret it? Vanessa asked. Leaving the army, giving up the dangerous stuff to be stable for Emma. Noah was quiet for a long time. Sometimes. Not because I missed the danger, but because it was simpler. Someone told you what to do, and you did it. There was a clear line between right and wrong. But parenting? Nothing's clear. Everything's gray. You just make the best call you can with the information you have and hope you don't screw them up too badly. Sounds familiar. Yeah, I guess running a company isn't that different from raising a kid. Except I can fire employees. Can't fire your kid. True. Although some days I'm tempted. Vanessa laughed. It felt good to laugh. She'd been doing more of it lately. Ever since that first Saturday at the park. Ever since Noah. Thank you, she said. For what? For this. For being here. For not treating me like I'm some untouchable CEO who has everything figured out. You're welcome. And for what it's worth, I don't think anyone has everything figured out. We're all just pretending until something comes along and reminds us we're human. Like getting fired for being late? Exactly like that. They sat there until the sun started to set, and the girls finally emerged from the fort, exhausted and covered in dust. Can we do this again next week? Emma asked as Noah helped her into her jacket. If it's okay with Chloe's mom, Noah said. Both girls looked at Vanessa with identical, hopeful expressions. Yeah, Vanessa said. We can do this again. After they left, Vanessa helped Chloe clean up the fort wreckage. They worked in silence for a while, folding blankets and returning furniture to its proper place. Mom? Chloe said eventually. Yeah? Do you like Noah? Vanessa stopped mid-fold. What kind of question is that? The kind where I want to know the answer. He's my employee. That's not what I asked. Vanessa sat down on the bed. Come here. Chloe climbed up next to her. Yes, Vanessa said. I like Noah. He's a good person, a good father, a good friend. Just a friend? What else would he be? Chloe shrugged. I don't know. Emma said her dad smiles more when he talks about you, and you smile more when you talk about him. Emma said that? Well, not exactly, but that's what she meant. Vanessa pulled Chloe close. It's complicated, baby. Why? Because grown-up relationships are always complicated. That's a dumb reason. Probably, but it's the truth. Chloe was quiet for a moment, then, I think you should date him. Oh, you do? Yeah, because you're both lonely and you both have kids and you both like coffee. That's like 3 whole things in common. That's not how dating works. How does it work then? Vanessa realized she had no idea how to answer that question. She hadn't dated anyone since the divorce. Hadn't wanted to. Hadn't had time. Or maybe she'd just been too scared. I'll figure it out, she said. Good. Because Emma and I already planned your wedding. You what? Just kidding, but we did talk about it. Vanessa groaned. You two are dangerous together. I know, Chloe said, grinning. It's great. That night, after Chloe was asleep, Vanessa sat in her home office and stared at her phone. She typed out a message to Noah 3 different times and deleted it 3 different times. Finally, she just wrote, "Thanks for today." The girls had fun. His response came back almost immediately. So did I. Vanessa stared at those 3 words for a long time. Then she wrote back, "Same." And before she could overthink it, she added, "Same time next week?" Wouldn't miss it. She set the phone down and leaned back in her chair. Outside her window, Chicago stretched out in all directions. Millions of people living their lives, making their choices, figuring things out as they went. And for the first time in years, Vanessa felt like maybe she was one of them. Not a CEO, not a single mother, not someone carrying the weight of a legacy she didn't choose, just a person, trying to be better, trying to connect, trying to figure out what came next. She turned off the lights and went to bed. And for once, she slept through the night without waking up at 3 a.m. to check her email. Progress, she thought. Small, imperfect, but progress nonetheless. The thing about patterns was that they became predictable. And the thing about Vanessa was that she'd spent her entire life avoiding predictability, because predictability meant vulnerability. But by mid-November, she and Noah had fallen into a pattern anyway. Saturdays at the park. Sunday evening, she'd get a text from him with some observation Emma had made about the world. Weekdays at the office where they'd pass each other in hallways and pretend their relationship was purely professional, even though everyone could see it wasn't. Marcus cornered her about it on a Wednesday afternoon. "So," he said, leaning against her office doorframe, "you and Noah." Vanessa didn't look up from her computer. "Me and Noah what? Come on, the whole building is talking about it." "There's nothing to talk about. You're spending every Saturday with him. With his daughter and my daughter. It's a play date." "Right, and the coffee runs, the lunch meetings that aren't about safety protocols?" Vanessa finally looked up. "Are you my HR department now?" "I'm your friend. Or at least I used to be before you became CEO and stopped having friends." That stung because it was true. When Vanessa took over the company, she'd systematically cut ties with anyone who might compromise her authority. Marcus had survived because he was good at his job and smart enough not to push. Until now, apparently. "We're not dating," Vanessa said. "Did I say you were?" "You implied it." "I implied that you might want to be. There's a difference." Vanessa closed her laptop. "Why does everyone suddenly care about my personal life?" "Because you finally have one. It's unsettling. We're used to you being married to the company." "I am married to the company." "Yeah, and how's that working out for you?" Before Vanessa could answer, her phone buzzed. A text from Noah. "Emma's school play is tomorrow night. She's playing a tree. Want to come?" Vanessa stared at the message. Marcus peered over her shoulder. "Is that him? Get out of my office." "That's definitely him. What's he saying?" Marcus. Fine, but for what it's worth, I think you should go." "To a school play where a 6-year-old pretends to be a tree?" "Yes, because that's what people who care about each other do. They show up for the boring stuff." After Marcus left, Vanessa sat there looking at Noah's text. She should say no. She had a dinner meeting with a potential investor tomorrow night. Important, revenue generating, the kind of thing a CEO couldn't reschedule for a first-grade play. She typed, "What time?" 7 p.m. Fair warning, it's probably going to be terrible. I'll be there. She immediately opened her calendar and moved the investor dinner to lunch. Her assistant was going to have a fit, but that was a problem for later. The next evening, Vanessa found herself sitting in a poorly ventilated elementary school cafeteria that had been converted into a theater. Folding chairs packed too tight, kids running everywhere, parents with cameras. She spotted Noah in the third row and made her way over. "You came," he said, looking genuinely surprised. "I said I would." "I know, but I thought you might—" He stopped. "Never mind. I'm glad you're here." Chloe appeared from nowhere and threw herself into the empty seat next to Vanessa. "Mom, you came too." "Too?" "Emma invited us both. She said her dad was inviting you and I should come to support her." "How did you get here?" "Mrs. Patterson's mom drove me. She's picking me up after." Vanessa looked at Noah. "Did you plan this?" "Emma planned it. I just went along with it." The lights dimmed before Vanessa could respond. The play started with a narration about forests and seasons, and why trees were important to the ecosystem. Then the kids shuffled onto the stage wearing costumes made from cardboard and paint. Emma was indeed a tree. She stood completely still in the back row, arms stretched out like branches, wearing a brown shirt and green construction paper leaves. "She's taking this very seriously," Vanessa whispered. "She's been practicing her tree stance for 2 weeks," Noah whispered back. "I had to explain that trees don't actually move." "What did she say?" "That I was wrong, and trees dance in the wind." Vanessa smiled. On stage, Emma was swaying slightly, making her leaves rustle. The play lasted 35 minutes. It was objectively terrible. Kids forgot their lines. Someone's costume fell apart mid-scene. The kid playing the son kept turning around to wave at his parents. But Emma never broke character. She stood there being a tree with such commitment that Vanessa felt something twist in her chest. When it ended, the audience applauded. Emma took a bow with the rest of the cast, still completely serious. Afterward, they found her backstage, still wearing her leaves. "You were perfect," Noah said, pulling her into a hug. "I didn't move too much?" "You moved exactly the right amount." Emma looked at Vanessa. "Did you like it?" "I loved it. You were the best tree I've ever seen." "Really? Really?" Emma beamed, then she grabbed Chloe's hand. "Did you see when I did the wind dance?" "That was my favorite part," Chloe said. The girls ran off to find their classmates, leaving Noah and Vanessa standing in the middle of chaos. "Thank you for coming," Noah said. "It means a lot to her, to both of us." "I almost didn't. I had a meeting I had to move." "Important meeting?" "They're all important, or at least they used to feel important." "And now?" Vanessa watched Emma showing Chloe how to do the tree dance. "Now I'm not so sure." They ended up getting ice cream after. All 4 of them crammed into a booth at a place near the school that had been there since the 1950s and looked like it hadn't been updated since. The girls ordered sundaes with too many toppings. Noah got vanilla. Vanessa got chocolate and immediately regretted it when she realized how cold it was outside. "You're shivering," Noah said. "I'm fine." He shrugged off his jacket and handed it to her. "I said I'm fine. And I'm giving you my jacket anyway. Take it." Vanessa took it. It was still warm from his body and smelled like that same simple soap. She tried not to think about how intimate that felt. Across the table, Emma was explaining the entire plot of the play to Chloe in excruciating detail, including backstage drama about someone stealing someone else's construction paper. "She's going to talk about this for weeks," Noah said. "Chloe, too. She loves drama." "Wonder where she gets that from." "Excuse me?" Noah smiled. "I'm just saying you're not exactly low-key." "I am extremely low-key." "You moved an investor meeting to come watch a 6-year-old pretend to be a tree. That's not dramatic. That's just—" Vanessa stopped. "Okay, maybe it's a little dramatic. It's also really nice." They sat there eating ice cream while the girls plotted their next fort-building adventure, and the evening dissolved into something easy. Something normal. Vanessa couldn't remember the last time she'd felt normal. On the way back to the parking lot, Emma asked if she could ride with Chloe to Mrs. Patterson's car. "Please, Dad. Just to the parking lot?" Noah looked at Vanessa. "Is that okay?" "Sure." The girls ran ahead, leaving Noah and Vanessa walking slowly through the cold November air. "Can I ask you something?" Noah said. "You're always asking me things. This one's different. Okay? Why did you really come tonight?" Vanessa thought about lying, about saying it was because Emma asked, or because Chloe wanted to go, or because she had nothing better to do, but she was tired of lying. "Because I wanted to," she said. "Because when I got your text, my first thought wasn't about work or schedules or whether it was appropriate. My first thought was that I wanted to see you." Noah stopped walking. They were under a streetlight, close enough to the school that they could still hear kids playing on the playground. "Vanessa, I know. I'm your boss. This is complicated. There are 1,000 reasons why this is a bad idea. I was actually going to say that I'm glad you came." "Oh. But yeah, all those other things are true too." They stood there looking at each other. Vanessa could see her breath in the cold air, could see the way Noah's eyes caught the streetlight. "This is a bad idea," she said again. "Probably. We should keep things professional." "We should." Neither of them moved. Then Chloe's voice cut through the moment. "Mom, Mrs. Patterson is waiting." Vanessa stepped back. "I should go." "Yeah." She started to take off Noah's jacket, but he stopped her. "Keep it. You can give it back Saturday." "Saturday, right." She walked to Mrs. Patterson's car and helped Chloe buckle in. When she turned around, Noah was still standing under the streetlight, watching her. She lifted her hand in a wave. He waved back. Then she got in her own car and sat there for a long moment before starting the engine, trying to figure out what the hell she was doing. The next morning, Vanessa was early to the office. She liked getting there before everyone else, liked the quiet, the sense of control that came from being the first one in and the last one out. She was halfway through her first coffee when someone knocked on her door. David Park stood there looking uncomfortable. "We need to talk," he said. Vanessa gestured to the chair across from her desk. "What's wrong?" "There's been some complaints." "About what?" "About Noah, about favoritism." Vanessa felt her stomach drop. "Who complained?" "Does it matter? The point is, people are noticing that you're giving him preferential treatment, the flexible schedule, the corner office, the fact that you consult with him on decisions that have nothing to do with safety. He's head of safety operations. Those decisions absolutely—" "Vanessa," David leaned forward. "I'm on your side here, but you need to be careful. If this gets to HR, it becomes a formal issue. There's nothing to report to HR." "Are you sure about that?" Vanessa wanted to say yes, wanted to insist that everything she'd done was above board and justified. But was it? She'd given Noah a job she'd never posted publicly, given him terms she'd never offered anyone else, started consulting with him on things that definitely weren't in his job description. And she'd done it all because she trusted him, because she valued his opinion, because somewhere along the way, he'd become the person she wanted to talk to when she was making decisions. "What do you want me to do?" she asked. "I want you to be smart. If there's nothing going on, then start treating him like any other employee. If there is something going on," David paused, "then you need to figure out what that means before someone else does it for you." After David left, Vanessa sat at her desk feeling like the walls were closing in. She'd spent 6 years building a reputation as someone who was fair, impartial, who never let personal feelings interfere with business. And now she was risking all of it. For what? For Saturday mornings at the park? For ice cream after school plays? For the way Noah looked at her like she was more than just the sum of her mistakes? Her phone buzzed. A text from Noah. "Emma won't stop wearing her tree costume. Send help." Vanessa smiled despite everything. Then she typed back, "Let her be a tree. Who's it hurting?" "Fair point. How's your morning?" She stared at the question. How honest should she be? "Complicated." "Yours? Same. Want to grab lunch?" She should say no, should put distance between them, should listen to David and start treating Noah like any other employee. Instead, she wrote, 12:30? I'll meet you at the deli on Clark. Vanessa set the phone down and rubbed her temples. She was making this worse. She knew she was making this worse, but she couldn't seem to stop. At lunch, Noah was already waiting when she arrived. They ordered sandwiches and found a table in the back. "You look stressed," he said. "I am stressed." "Work stuff?" Work stuff that's bleeding into personal stuff that's bleeding back into work stuff. That's specific. Vanessa took a bite of her sandwich to buy herself time. Then she said, "People are noticing that we're close, that I'm treating you differently." Noah set down his sandwich. "Okay. That's it? Just okay? What do you want me to say?" "I don't know. Maybe that you're worried that this could be a problem?" "Are you asking if I'm worried about my job or worried about you?" "Both, either." Noah thought about it. "I'm not worried about my job. You hired me to do work, and I'm doing it. If people have a problem with that, that's their problem." "It's not that simple, isn't it?" "No. Because if this becomes an HR issue, it doesn't matter how good you are at your job. It matters that I gave you preferential treatment." "Did you?" "Yes, obviously." "Why?" "Because—" Vanessa stopped. "Because I trust you. Because I like you. Because you make me feel like I'm more than just a CEO trying to live up to an impossible legacy. Because you deserved it." "Then there's your answer. If anyone asks, you hired the best person for the job and gave them terms that reflected their value to the company. That's not how HR sees it. So what do you want to do? Fire me again? Start treating me like I don't matter? Of course not." "Then what?" Vanessa pushed her sandwich away. "I don't know. I just know that I can't lose everything I've built because I couldn't keep my personal and professional lives separate." Noah was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was careful. "Are we talking about your reputation or about us?" "There is no us." "Okay." "I'm serious, Noah. There can't be an us. I'm your boss. You report to me. Anything beyond that is complicated." "Yeah, you've said that." "So you understand." "I understand that you're scared. What I don't understand is why you're letting that fear make your decisions for you." Vanessa felt anger flash through her. "You don't know what you're talking about." "Don't I? You've spent this whole lunch telling me why we can't have something that we're already having. We're friends, Vanessa. Maybe more than friends. And yeah, it's messy and complicated and there's no HR manual for it, but that doesn't make it wrong." "It does if it costs me my company." "Is the company really what you're worried about? Or is it that you're worried about letting someone in and having it fall apart like it did with your ex?" Vanessa stood up. "I need to get back to the office." "Vanessa, thank you for lunch." She walked out before he could say anything else. The rest of the day was a blur of meetings and emails and calls that Vanessa handled on autopilot. By the time she got home, she was exhausted. Chloe was at the kitchen table doing homework. "How was school?" Vanessa asked. "Fine. How was work?" "Fine." They both knew they were lying. Later, after dinner, Chloe came into Vanessa's office where she was pretending to review contracts. "Are you mad at Noah?" Chloe asked. Vanessa looked up. "Why would you think that?" "Because you have your mad face. And you only get your mad face when something's wrong. I'm not mad. I'm just thinking." "About Noah?" "About work." "Work that involves Noah?" Vanessa closed her laptop. "Come here." Chloe climbed into her lap, even though she was getting too big for it. "What if I told you that sometimes grown-ups have to make hard choices?" Vanessa said. "Choices where there's no good answer." "Like what?" "Like choosing between something you want and something you need." "Can't you have both?" "Not always." Chloe thought about that. "Is this about Noah being your friend?" "Sort of. Emma's worried that you're not going to want to be friends anymore. She told me at school." Vanessa's chest hurt. "Why would she think that?" "Because her dad was sad this morning, and Emma said the only time he's sad is when something's wrong." "I don't want to hurt Emma, or Noah, or you." "Then don't." "It's not that simple, baby." "Why not?" "Because the world was complicated and messy and full of rules that didn't make sense but still mattered. Because Vanessa had spent her entire life learning how to protect herself and didn't know how to stop. Because letting someone in meant risking everything, and she wasn't sure she was brave enough for that. But she didn't say any of that. "I'm going to figure it out," she said instead. "Promise?" "Promise." That night, Vanessa lay in bed staring at the ceiling and thinking about what Noah had said. About fear making her decisions. About already having something whether she admitted it or not. About letting people in. Her phone was on the nightstand. She picked it up and opened her messages. The last text from Noah was from this morning, the one about Emma and the tree costume. She started typing a dozen different messages and deleted them all. Finally, she just wrote, "I'm sorry about lunch. Can we talk?" The response came back almost immediately. "Tomorrow? After work? Your place or mine?" "Yours. Emma has a sleepover." "Okay. See you at 7. Vanessa set the phone down and closed her eyes. She had no idea what she was going to say tomorrow. No idea how to fix the mess she'd made. But for once, she was going to stop hiding behind rules and policies and fears. She was going to show up and tell the truth, whatever that truth turned out to be. The next evening, Noah arrived at exactly 7. Vanessa had sent Chloe to a friend's house for a few hours, wanting privacy for whatever conversation they were about to have. She let him in and they stood in the entryway, suddenly awkward in a way they hadn't been in weeks. "Coffee?" Vanessa offered. "Sure." They went to the kitchen. Vanessa made 2 cups while Noah sat at the island, exactly where he'd sat weeks ago when this had all felt simpler. "I owe you an apology," Vanessa said, handing him a mug. "For what?" "For running away yesterday. For acting like you'd done something wrong when you were just being honest. You were scared. I get it." "That doesn't make it okay." Noah took a sip of coffee. "So what do you want to do about it?" "I don't know. That's the truth. I don't know how to do this." "Do what?" "Whatever this is, between us." "What do you think it is?" Vanessa sat down across from him. "I think we're friends who might want to be more than friends, but can't because of a dozen different reasons that all make perfect sense on paper." "And off paper?" "Off paper, I think I'm tired of being scared. I think I'm tired of letting rules decide how I live my life. I think—" She stopped. "I think I care about you, more than I should, more than is smart." Noah set down his mug. "Vanessa, let me finish, please." He nodded. "I don't know how to do this without screwing it up. I don't know how to be your boss and your friend, and maybe something more all at the same time. I don't know how to protect the company and protect this and protect Chloe and protect myself. Her voice broke. "I just know that I don't want to lose you, either of you." Noah came around the island and sat next to her. "You're not going to lose us," he said quietly. "Emma asks about you every day, about when we're going to see you again, about whether you're coming to her next school thing. You're in her life now, whether you mean to be or not." "And you?" "Me too. You're in my life, and I don't want that to change." They sat there in silence for a moment. Then Vanessa said, "I talked to HR yesterday, hypothetically, about what would happen if 2 employees started dating." Noah looked at her. And technically, as long as we disclose it and there's no direct reporting relationship, it's allowed. You report to David, not to me. So technically, we're in the clear. Technically. Is this you asking me out? I don't know, maybe. Is this you saying yes? Noah smiled. I don't know, maybe. Vanessa felt herself smile back. We're really bad at this. The worst. So what do? I think we take it slow. We figure it out as we go. We don't tell the girls anything until we're sure. We keep it professional at work. And we see what happens. That's a terrible plan. You have a better one? No. Then I guess we're going with the terrible plan. Vanessa laughed. It came out shaky and relieved and slightly hysterical. Noah reached over and took her hand. We're going to screw this up, she said. Probably. Multiple times. Almost definitely. But we're doing it anyway. Yeah, we are. They sat there holding hands across the kitchen island while the evening light faded outside and the house settled into quiet around them. And for the first time in longer than Vanessa could remember, she felt like maybe everything was going to be okay. Not perfect, not smooth, not according to any plan she'd ever made. But okay. And maybe okay was enough. They didn't tell the girls for 3 weeks. Not because they were hiding exactly, but because Vanessa insisted they needed to be sure. Needed to know this was something real before they brought Emma and Chloe into it. They're already planning our wedding, Noah said one evening in early December. They were sitting in his apartment, a modest 2-bedroom that Emma had covered in drawings and school projects. How much more sure can we be? That's them planning, not us living it. Fair point? But the truth was, Vanessa was stalling. Not because she didn't want this, but because wanting it terrified her. Every time something good happened in her life, it seemed to fall apart. Her marriage, her relationship with her father before he died. Even the company felt like it was always one mistake away from collapse. And this thing with Noah felt too good, too easy, which meant it was probably going to end badly. She was in her office the following Monday when Marcus knocked on her door. "We have a problem," he said. Vanessa looked up from her computer. "What kind of problem?" "The kind where someone leaked to the board that you're dating an employee." Her stomach dropped. "Who?" "Does it matter? Robert Finch called me this morning. He wants to meet with you. Tomorrow." Robert Finch, the board chair. The man who'd worked with her grandfather for 40 years and barely tolerated Vanessa's leadership style. What does he want? To talk about conflicts of interest and corporate governance. His words, not mine. Vanessa leaned back in her chair. This is bad. It's not great, but it's also not the end of the world. You didn't violate any policies. Noah doesn't report to you directly. You disclosed the relationship to HR. I disclosed it hypothetically. What? I never actually filed the paperwork. I just asked what the policy was. Marcus closed his eyes. Vanessa, I know. File it. Today. Right now. Before that meeting tomorrow. It's going to look like I'm covering my tracks. You are covering your tracks, but better late than never. After Marcus left, Vanessa called Noah. We have a problem, she said. I heard. David got a call from HR asking about our working relationship. I need to file disclosure paperwork, which means this becomes official, on record. Okay. You're not worried? About what? We didn't do anything wrong. We didn't follow protocol. So we follow it now. Better late than never, right? Vanessa wanted his calm, his certainty. But all she felt was panic. What if they make me choose, she said quietly. The board. What if they say it's you or the company? Noah was silent for a moment. Then you choose the company. What? Vanessa, you've spent your entire life building this. I'm not going to be the reason you lose it. That's not fair. Life's not fair. But if it comes down to it, you choose what matters most. You matter. So does your legacy. So does everything your grandfather built. So does proving to yourself that you can do this. Vanessa felt tears prick her eyes. I hate that you're being reasonable about this. One of us has to be. She filed the paperwork that afternoon. Relationship disclosure form. Dated it honestly, showing they'd been seeing each other for 3 weeks. Added a note explaining the delay and apologizing for not filing sooner. Then she sent it to HR and waited. The response came back in 2 hours. A meeting request for the following morning. 9 a.m., conference room A. Her, Robert Finch, and the head of HR. She didn't sleep that night. The next morning, Vanessa arrived at the office at 7. She'd worn her most severe suit, hair pulled back tight, game face on. Robert Finch was already waiting in the conference room when she arrived at 9, 72 years old, silver hair, expression that gave away nothing. Vanessa, he said. Sit down. She sat. The head of HR, a woman named Patricia, whom Vanessa had always liked, sat at the other end of the table. I'll get right to it, Robert said. It's been brought to our attention that you're in a romantic relationship with Noah Carter, an employee of this company. Yes. I filed disclosure paperwork yesterday. After someone informed the board. Not before. I should have filed sooner. That was a mistake. It was more than a mistake, Vanessa. It was a violation of the trust this board has placed in you. Vanessa felt her jaw tighten. With respect, I didn't violate any policies. I checked with HR before anything happened. Noah doesn't report to me. There's no direct conflict of interest. The conflict isn't about reporting structures. It's about perception. You gave this man a job he wasn't qualified for. He absolutely was qualified. You gave him preferential treatment, a corner office, flexible schedule, and now we find out you're dating him. How do you think that looks? It looks like I hired someone with extensive safety and emergency response experience for a safety position. Someone who's exceeded every expectation since he started. Someone you were personally involved with. We weren't involved when I hired him. That came later. Robert leaned back in his chair. Here's my concern, Vanessa. Your grandfather built this company on integrity, on the principle that we do the right thing even when it's hard, even when it costs us something. And right now, it looks like you're putting your personal life ahead of the company's reputation. That's not what's happening. Then explain to me what is happening. Vanessa took a breath. She could lie, could minimize, could make this sound like a casual thing that didn't matter. But she was tired of lying. I care about him, she said. I care about Noah and his daughter. They've become important to me and to Chloe. And yes, maybe the timing wasn't perfect. Maybe I should have been more careful about how it looked. But I didn't do anything wrong. I hired the right person for the job. I disclosed the relationship. I've been transparent about everything. Eventually. Yes, eventually. Because I'm human and I make mistakes. But I'm also good at my job. This company is thriving under my leadership. Revenue is up. Employee satisfaction is up. We're outperforming every projection you gave me when I took over. None of that matters if we can't trust your judgment. My judgment is fine. What you don't trust is that I can have a personal life and still run this company. Because my grandfather didn't. Because he gave everything to this place and expected everyone else to do the same. But I'm not him. I'm trying to be better than him. The room went silent. Patricia shifted in her seat. Robert's expression remained unreadable. Better than him, Robert repeated slowly. Yes. My grandfather was brilliant, but he was also alone. He sacrificed his family for this company. He missed my father's childhood. He wasn't there when my father died because he was at a conference in Singapore. And I spent the first year as CEO trying to be just like him because I thought that was the only way to succeed. But it's not. You can care about people and still be good at your job. You can have a life outside these walls and still give everything you have when you're here. Is that what you're doing? I'm trying to. Robert stood up. I need to discuss this with the full board. We'll convene later this week. And until then? Until then, you continue doing your job. But Vanessa, I want you to think very carefully about what you're willing to risk for this relationship. Because if the board decides this is a problem, you're going to have to make a choice. After they left, Vanessa sat alone in the conference room for a long time. She pulled out her phone and called Noah. How did it go? He asked. About as badly as expected. They're convening the full board. When? End of the week. What can I do? Nothing. This isn't your problem to solve. Vanessa. I mean it, Noah. This is on me. She hung up before he could argue. That night, she sat Chloe down at the kitchen table. Remember how you asked if Noah and I were friends? Vanessa said. Chloe looked up from her homework. Yeah? We're more than friends now. We're dating. Chloe's face split into a grin. Really? Really? But it's complicated because he works for me, and some people think that's a problem. Why? Because sometimes when people are in charge, they have to be extra careful about being fair to everyone. And some people think I'm not being fair because I care about Noah. But you are being fair. I think so, but not everyone agrees. Chloe thought about that. Are you in trouble? Maybe. I don't know yet. Can I still see Emma? Of course. No matter what happens with the grown-up stuff, you and Emma are friends. That doesn't change. Good. Because we have plans. What kind of plans? Secret plans. Vanessa smiled despite everything. Of course you do. The board meeting was scheduled for Friday afternoon. Vanessa spent the week preparing, building her case, documenting Noah's performance, gathering evidence that she'd acted appropriately. Thursday night, Noah showed up at her door. You shouldn't be here, Vanessa said. Probably not. Can I come in anyway? She let him in. They sat in the living room while Chloe did homework upstairs. I've been thinking, Noah said, about what happens if the board makes you choose. Noah, let me finish. If they make you choose the company. We've had this conversation. I know, but I need you to really hear me. You've worked too hard to let this destroy everything. And Emma and I will be fine. We were fine before you, and we'll be fine after. Is that what you want? To be fine? No. I want to be with you, but not at the cost of everything you've built. Vanessa felt something crack in her chest. What if I don't want to choose? then we figure out another way. But if it comes down to it, you don't sacrifice your company for me. Promise me." She wanted to argue, wanted to tell him that he mattered more than any company. But the truth was messier than that. The company was her family's legacy, her father's dream, her grandfather's life's work, and she'd spent 6 years trying to prove she was worthy of it. "I can't promise that," she said. "Vanessa, because I don't know what I'll choose, and I won't know until I'm standing there facing it." They sat in silence for a while. Then Noah said, "Emma wants to give you something for good luck tomorrow." "What is it?" He pulled a folded piece of paper from his jacket pocket and handed it to her. Vanessa unfolded it, a drawing. Stick figures holding hands, 4 of them, 2 big, 2 small. Above them, Emma had written in careful letters, "Our family." Vanessa stared at the drawing until her vision blurred. "She asked me last week if you were going to be her mom," Noah said quietly. "I told her it was complicated. She said that's what grown-ups say when the answer is yes, but they're scared." "Smart kid." "She gets it from her mother." Vanessa folded the drawing carefully and held it against her chest. "I can't lose you, either of you." "Then don't." "It's not that simple." "Maybe it is. Maybe we're the ones making it complicated." The next day, Vanessa walked into the boardroom at exactly 3 p.m. 12 board members sat around the table, Robert Finch at the head. Marcus gave her an encouraging nod from the side. "Thank you for coming, Vanessa," Robert said. "We've reviewed the disclosure paperwork and the timeline of your relationship with Mr. Carter. We've also reviewed his performance since being hired." Vanessa sat down. Her hands were shaking under the table. "We have some concerns," Robert continued, "about the optics, about the message it sends when a CEO dates an employee, about whether this represents the kind of leadership we want for this company." "I understand your concerns," Vanessa said, "and I've thought about this a lot over the past week. About what my grandfather would do, about what you expect from me, about what's right for the company. And I think you're asking the wrong question." The room went quiet. "The question isn't whether I should be allowed to have a personal life," Vanessa continued. "The question is whether I'm doing my job well. And I am. This company is more profitable than it's ever been. Our employees are happier. Our clients are satisfied. We're growing. We're thriving. And I've done that while also being a mother, while also being a human being with relationships and feelings and a life outside these walls." "No one is questioning your performance," Robert started. "You are, though. You're saying that because I care about someone who works here, I can't be trusted to lead. You're saying I have to choose between having a personal life and running this company. And I'm telling you that's a false choice. My grandfather made that choice. He chose the company over everything else. And yeah, he was successful. But he was also miserable. He died alone in a hotel room in Singapore while his son was in Chicago mourning a divorce. Is that really what you want from me?" "We want someone who puts the company first. I do put the company first every single day, but I also put my daughter first. And the people I care about, because that's what makes me a better leader. Not worse. Better. I understand what my employees need because I'm living the same life they are. I understand work-life balance because I'm actually trying to achieve it. I understand that people are more than just assets on a spreadsheet because I'm finally remembering that I'm a person too." She stood up. "So here's what I'm proposing. Noah stays in his position because he's good at it and he's earned it. I continue to lead this company because I'm good at it and I've earned it. And if you can't accept that, then maybe I'm not the right person for this job after all." The room was silent. Then Marcus started clapping. Slowly, one by one, other board members joined in. Not all of them. Robert Finch sat there with his arms crossed, not applauding, but enough of them that Vanessa felt her heart start beating again. "This board," Robert said slowly, "has always valued tradition, your grandfather's way of doing things, but maybe," he paused, "maybe times change, maybe we change with them." "Does that mean—" "It means you're still CEO. It means Mr. Carter keeps his job, and it means this board is going to trust your judgment going forward. But Vanessa, if this becomes a problem, if we start seeing favoritism or conflicts of interest, you won't. I promise you won't." After the meeting, Vanessa went straight to Noah's office. He looked up when she walked in. "Well, we're in the clear." Noah stood up and pulled her into a hug. She let herself sink into it, feeling the tension of the past week finally drain away. "Thank you," he said. "For what?" "For not choosing, for fighting for both." "I had a good reason to fight." "What's that?" She pulled back and handed him Emma's drawing. "This, our family." That Saturday, they took the girls to the park. Same bench, same playground. But everything felt different now. Emma and Chloe were on the swings, trying to see who could go higher. "They're going to hurt themselves," Vanessa said. "Probably." "Should we stop them?" "Nah, let them be kids." Vanessa leaned against Noah's shoulder. The December air was cold, but the sun was bright, and she could hear the girls laughing. "I talked to my therapist this week," she said. "Yeah?" "She said I'm making progress, learning to let go of control, learning to trust." "How does that feel?" "Terrifying, but good. That's growth." "I hate that you're right." Noah laughed. "Get used to it." On the playground, Emma jumped off her swing at the highest point. Chloe followed. They both landed hard, stumbled, then collapsed into giggles. "Heart attack," Vanessa muttered. "They're giving me a heart attack." "Welcome to parenting." "I thought I already was a parent." "You were. Now you're parenting with someone else. It's different." "Better or worse?" "Different. Better for some things. Worse for others. You don't get to make all the decisions anymore." "I already hate it." "No, you don't." Vanessa smiled. "No, I don't." The girls ran over, breathless and flushed. "Can we get hot chocolate?" Emma asked. "It's 11 in the morning," Noah said. "So?" "So that's not a no," Chloe said. "That's a maybe." "When did you become a lawyer?" Vanessa asked. "I've always been a lawyer. You just weren't paying attention." They ended up at a coffee shop near the park. The girls ordered hot chocolate with extra marshmallows. Noah got tea. Vanessa got coffee that she didn't need but drank anyway. They crammed into a booth, girls on one side, adults on the other. "Dad," Emma said suddenly, "are you and Chloe's mom boyfriend and girlfriend now?" Noah glanced at Vanessa. "Yeah, we are. Is that okay?" "Yes. I told Chloe you were." "You did not," Chloe said. "Did too." "When?" "Like a month ago. I said my dad likes your mom, and you said your mom likes my dad, and then we planned your wedding." Vanessa choked on her coffee. "You what?" "We planned your wedding," Chloe repeated like this was obvious. "It's going to be at the park, and we're going to be flower girls, and there's going to be a dog." "Why is there a dog?" Noah asked. "Because every wedding needs a dog," Emma said seriously. "It's the law." "Pretty sure that's not the law," Vanessa said. "Well, it should be." They spent the next hour listening to the girls describe in excruciating detail the wedding they'd planned. The flowers, the cake, the music, the dog that may or may not be legally required. "They've thought about this a lot," Noah whispered. "Too much," Vanessa whispered back. But she was smiling, really smiling, the kind of smile that came from somewhere deep and honest. After hot chocolate, they walked back to the parking lot. Emma and Chloe ran ahead, already making plans for next weekend. "So," Noah said, "a wedding with a dog. Legally required, apparently. You thinking about it? The dog or the wedding?" "Either. Both." Vanessa stopped walking. They were under the same streetlight where Noah had told her to keep his jacket, where this whole thing had started feeling like more than just friendship. "Ask me in 6 months," she said. "Why 6 months?" "Because I want to make sure we can actually do this, that we can handle the work stuff and the kid stuff and all the messy, complicated stuff without falling apart." "And if we can? Then ask me again and we'll see." Noah smiled. "Deal." He kissed her. Right there in the parking lot with their daughters 50 feet away and the winter sun turning everything gold. When they pulled apart, Chloe and Emma were staring at them. "Gross," Chloe said. "So gross," Emma agreed, but they were both grinning. That night, after Chloe was asleep, Vanessa sat in her home office and opened her laptop. She pulled up a document she'd been working on for weeks, a proposal to restructure the company, to create better work-life balance policies, to implement flexible schedules company-wide, to show that you could be successful without sacrificing everything else. She'd been scared to present it, scared the board would see it as weakness. But after Friday's meeting, she wasn't scared anymore. She revised the proposal, strengthened it, added data and case studies and projections showing how these changes would actually improve productivity and retention. Then she scheduled a presentation for the next board meeting. Her phone buzzed. A text from Noah. Emma's asleep. Thank you for today. Thank you for the heart attack when she jumped off the swing. They both jumped. Equal heart attacks. Fair point. Same time next week? Wouldn't miss it. Vanessa set the phone down and looked around her office. At the walls she'd built. At the life she'd constructed based on rules and control and the fear of being vulnerable. Slowly, those walls were coming down. Not easily. Not smoothly. Not according to any plan. But they were coming down. And what was left underneath wasn't what she'd expected. It wasn't perfect or polished or the carefully constructed image she'd spent years building. It was just her, messy and complicated and trying her best. A woman who'd learned that sometimes the people you fire turn out to be the people you need most. That strength wasn't about control, but about knowing when to let go. That the rules she'd built her life around mattered less than the people who broke them for the right reasons. She thought about Noah standing in that boardroom weeks ago, bruised and bleeding, saying nothing because he knew she wouldn't believe him anyway. She thought about the moment she'd realized who he was and what he'd done. She thought about all the walls she'd had to tear down to get here. And she thought about the drawing Emma had made. 4 stick figures holding hands. Our family. Not perfect, not traditional, not what she'd planned, but real and honest. And maybe that was enough. Outside her window, Chicago glittered in the winter darkness. Millions of people living their lives, making their choices, building their own versions of family and meaning and purpose. Vanessa was one of them now. Not a CEO trying to live up to an impossible legacy. Not a single mother protecting her daughter from a world that felt too dangerous. Not someone so afraid of making mistakes that she stopped seeing people as human. Just someone trying, learning, growing. Someone who'd finally figured out that the best things in life didn't come from perfect execution or careful planning or rigid control. They came from showing up, from being honest, from taking risks on people even when it scared you. She closed her laptop and turned off the lights. Tomorrow she'd go back to being CEO, back to board meetings and budget reviews and all the complicated work of running a company. But tonight, she was just Vanessa. A woman who'd learned that sometimes the morning everything changes is the morning you stop hiding behind rules and start seeing the people right in front of you. The people who save you in ways you didn't know you needed saving. The people who remind you that you're more than your worst decisions. The people who hold your hand and say, we'll figure it out together. And maybe that was the point all along. Not to have everything figured out. Not to be perfect. Not to live up to someone else's legacy. But to build something new. Something real. Something worth showing up for every single day. She went upstairs and checked on Chloe. Asleep with mismatched socks still on her feet and a book open across her chest. Vanessa pulled the book away carefully and pulled the blanket up. Love you, baby, she whispered. Then she went to her own room and fell asleep with Emma's drawing on her nightstand. 4 stick figures holding hands. Our family. Imperfect. Unexpected. Absolutely right.